Hey folks, and welcome back to Fireside. What a mess you guys have made. There's no straw left. I got 3. No, that is not yours, ma'am. No, ma'am. So as you know, egg prices have been skyrocketing lately. I'm sure you guys have seen it. I'm sure you're suffering from it. And I wanted to know if these girls are actually paying for their feed and saving me some money. So I've used a garden planner before, but this year I got like a full homestead planner, both for my age, since I am growing this homestead and it's gonna be bigger and better than last year, but also for your help, so that I can accurately represent what's going on here, both with, you know, statistics, numbers, and one of these ways is my egg production for my laying hens in January. So I bought this homestead planner from Homesteaders of America, and I just got the PDF version because I can print all of these pages out for cheaper. It's got amazing stuff, but for today, we will be using the page Layers Monthly Egg Total. So each day this month, January 2023, I've written down exactly how many eggs I have brought into the house from the chicken coop. Now I make that distinction, brought into the house, because I never take a basket outside with me and I am always breaking eggs. So there are several eggs that are uncounted because they never made it inside. So daily, my girls were kind of in the same range, 4, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. I would say they averaged about 3 eggs per day for the entire month of January. But before we get into the nitty-gritty cost breakdown, let me give you guys a few facts about chickens. Fact number 1. Egg production naturally decreases in the winter. The amount of daylight hours, along with a couple other factors, dramatically impacts laying hens' capabilities. Their reproductive cycle is actually tied to melatonin. So however much daylight they're taking in, their body is going to respond accordingly. Bad weather can also affect laying hens. So if it's like super wet or super cold and snowy and icy, they're also going to lay less. But generally, chickens will lay less or completely stop laying in the winter, and that is normal. So I still am getting a few eggs out of these girls, but definitely not an egg a day per hen as I would normally be getting. Secondly, hens and roosters, but hens reach sexual maturity at about 4 to 5 months. So baby chicks or teenager chicks, which are called pullets, won't actually start laying you any eggs until around 4 to 5 months after they're hatched. This is a runner. But of the 12 chickens I have in here, 2 of them are roosters and 3 of them are pullets. So 3 of them aren't even at laying age yet. So even if it wasn't winter, they still wouldn't be giving me any eggs. So out of the 10 hens that I currently have in the summertime, with normal temperatures, I would normally be getting around 10 eggs a day. Now I'm getting on average 3. For 2 reasons. First, 3 of these chickens are pullets, they're not laying yet. And secondly, it's the wintertime. They really slow down production in the wintertime. Fact number 3, you can greatly reduce your feed bill by feeding your chickens scraps. Historically, chickens have been used as the garbage disposals of the homestead. They can eat almost anything and turn it into a complete and amazing protein for you and your family. And I consistently keep my feed costs lower because I throw all of our table scraps, our kitchen scraps, leftovers that we don't want, leftovers when we go out to eat with friends and they're about to throw their food away. I take all of that and I supplement the feed bill with it. There's actually a pretty cool channel called Permapastures Farm that has this method called the chicken tractor on steroids, and they are producing a large flock of laying hens completely on food scraps that they recycle from local businesses and schools and stuff. So you're like, Megan, why are you telling me all these random facts about chickens? Well, it plays into the egg production that I have and whether or not I'm getting my money back from these chickens. So what do we know? I'm already getting less eggs because it's winter. I'm getting less eggs than the chickens I have because some of them aren't sexually mature yet, so they're not laying anyways. And thirdly, I greatly supplement my feed bill with table scraps and food scraps and garden scraps, especially garden scraps. So knowing all that, the cost of feeding my chickens and, you know, the cost to production ratio that I have is going to be different from someone who has no scraps to feed their chickens or doesn't feed them and is strictly feeding them a diet of store-bought grains. I also don't feed my chickens scratch because I give them all these table scraps and there's really no need for me to buy another bag of feed at the store. So I don't feed them like 5 or 7 grain scratch that you'll see in the store next to the chicken feed. And I'm giving you all these facts and figures about how I run my homestead because it definitely plays into how much money I'm saving every month with 12 backyard hens and roosters. So here are the numbers. You guys will have to excuse my crappy chalkboard here. I don't have a whiteboard to use. But egg prices in my area have averaged around $5 per dozen for the entire month of January. And this is just an average of your basic Walmart brand 12 dozen eggs. I have chickens, so I don't need to buy eggs. But I can't really afford organic free range eggs that you buy at the store. Not at the level of eggs that I eat. And right now I believe they're about $9 a dozen. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I care about organic. I grow my garden organically. But if I had no chickens and I was down and out, I am not gonna be paying $9 for a dozen. So the $5 a dozen is strictly based on the Walmart standard price that has been there for like the entire month. My chickens produced 76 eggs for January. 76 eggs equals 6.3 dozen. At about $5 a dozen, with 6.3 dozen eggs that my chickens produced, they produced 31.5 US dollars worth of eggs in the month of January. So if I would have had to buy all of the eggs that we consumed this month, I would have spent $31.50. But how does that compare with the feed that I've spent on them? So on January 2nd, 2023, I bought one bag, a 50-pound bag, of feed at Tractor Supply. This flock feed cost me $25. Roughly. I think it was like $25.41 or something like that. And I do still have that feed left over. But when I bought that bag of feed, I still had leftovers from a layer bag that I had bought months ago. So I was using both bags for this month, and I still have feed left over in the bin. So did the chickens essentially pay for their feed in eggs? Yes, barely. And with the goal of being completely transparent, there are a couple things I don't take into account, like the labor. Morning, night, middle of the day, I am out there either feeding, breaking up water in the winter time, throwing them scraps, raking up wood chips, doing general chores and maintenance of both the chickens and the coop. And that, of course, for my own homestead, I don't factor that into the cost. It's something that I love doing, and it's obviously something that has to get done if I want this kind of life. Second thing, if I didn't have chickens, would I be eating as many eggs? No. I would gladly curb my egg consumption so that I wouldn't have to pay exorbitant amounts of money. Not hating on you if you do. I'm just saying, had I not had this resource here, I would not be paying, you know, $5, $6, $7, $8 a dozen. I would just eat less eggs, and I don't bake very well. And third, my chickens do a lot better when they're free ranging. I don't pasture my eggs. Of course I don't pasture my eggs. I don't like pasture raise my chickens, although I do let them free range on occasion, which is something I can go into in another video. But I live in the desert. There's not a whole lot of grass. Although they can find bugs and forage for little seeds and stuff. In the winter especially, there's not a whole lot for them to scrounge around for. And with these 5 new chickens that I just got, I really want them to get used to their home. Like, this is where their home base is. They go into that coop every night. They lay in these egg crates. So I'm not free ranging them yet, just because I'm still getting the whole flock acclimated to each other. So, and free ranging really does, I mean, it increases their calorie consumption. They find things that I don't have to feed them. Their eggs, with all the foraging that they do, are just a better quality. So I do prefer to do that. I'm just not doing it right this moment. So with all this eggflation lately, a lot of the questions popping up are, should I be keeping backyard chickens to, you know, spend less money on eggs? And honestly, it depends. Yes, right now they are paying for themselves, and when they start laying more in the summer, they'll absolutely, in egg production, be paying for their own feed. But I also don't sell my eggs. So yes, they're paying for their feed in eggs, but I'm not like purposefully making profit. I love giving my extra eggs away to friends and family. And then there's also the labor. Like, having chickens is like having any other pet. You don't just go get a dog without wanting a dog. Don't go get chickens just to have eggs and you don't like chickens. They need to be cared for. They get sick like other animals. You know, you have to be out here. Rain, wind, snow, sleet. And then there's also the issue of hens not laying eggs forever. They generally have a good 3 to 5 years, and they just decline. Their egg production slows until it stops. And you're gonna have to decide what to do with that chicken. Are you gonna harvest her for the table? Are you going to keep her around as a pet and be throwing feed into her? Which is something you might like doing. I mean, I throw dog food into this fat girl all the time. And all she seems to do is tear up my leather work gloves. And I know there's a lot of controversy online right now about people wanting to get chickens either as a joke or seriously, you know, for the sole purpose of cheaper eggs. And, you know, I'm not here to judge anyone, but they are a living animal and they need to be treated as such. Gosh, chickens are super easy to care for, but they're still a responsibility that you have to take up. And they are totally the gateway drug to homesteading and gardening. Both of them are. So, did my chickens pay for themselves this month? Absolutely. Do I think you should get chickens? Absolutely. If you want them. Freya and I thank you for joining us today. I'll catch you on the next one.